first thing you need to know about nutrition and fatigue is that oftentimes the acute symptoms of fatigue can be due to dehydration or not being as hydrated as is optimal. And there's studies that show that even a little lack of hydration can cause you to lose reps, all right? So the first and foremost thing you want to do if you're feeling fatigue is to make sure you are getting enough water. The next aspect of fatigue management is to eat healthier, lighter foods, all right? When you are experiencing fatigue, you need to manage your energy use. Processed foods like refined wheat products, foods that have a lot of artificial chemicals and toxins that are, hard on the body, like the liver and kidneys. Any of these heavy or unnatural foods are very difficult for the body to digest and process, which is why you will often feel tired after eating too much of them. All right, this is something I'm sure you experience when you eat a really heavy meal or when you eat unhealthy food. It puts you into a food coma. Why? Because it requires all of your body's energy to process that shit. So when you are training and experiencing fatigue, you need to be getting your nutrients from lighter foods, such as fruits and vegetables and seafood. All right? You can get more than enough protein from seafood, eggs, and seeds such as lentils, peas, beans, nuts, and grains. And certain protein supplements are also better than others, like when it comes to digestion. Pea protein is easier on the system than whey protein. Whey protein is actually garbage. Literally, I come from a line of dairy farmers, and in my dad's day on the dairy farm, whey was thrown out because it's like considered just a garbage byproduct of the dairy process. And then sometime a little while ago, dairy farmers realized that they could actually get it marketed as a protein supplement, but dairy that comes from cows is actually very difficult on the human digestive tract because it's meant for the bovine digestive tract, which is extremely different than ours. They actually have multiple stomachs, and I'm not sure if you knew that, but their stomach is also structured differently than ours as well. Everything about their digestive tract is different. So you shouldn't be getting your protein from dairy. I recommend stuff like pea protein and hemp protein. And if you're a vegan or vegetarian and your only options for protein are the plant-based sources, soy is of course a really great protein source. It is a whole protein. The only thing is that if it is GMO soy and is not organic, that's going to be pretty bad for you in some other ways. So always go for the non-GMO or organic. And also, soy is not the easiest thing to digest. It actually does cause some inflammation to the digestive tract. So you don't want to be intaking too much of it. All right, you can easily overdose on it, and then you're going to have that digestive system fatigue and discomfort and inflammation, the farting and everything. So you do want to limit your soy intake a bit. You do not have to worry about estrogen, as some people say. It's not the same type of estrogen as the female hormone that you're thinking of, and it actually has the opposite effect. It actually basically suppresses estrogen quite a bit. But you do have to worry about the toxicity of any non-GMO soy, and even if you're going organic, you do not want to eat too much of it. All right, so I would say, maybe 3 or less servings of soy per day, and make sure that they're not huge servings. Okay, that doesn't really necessarily mean 3 big blocks of tofu, or anything huge like that. All right, and especially as a vegan or vegetarian, you do want to spread out your protein sources throughout many different plants, as you probably know. And then when it comes to poultry is okay. It's lighter, but it's not as good as the other things, seafood and, things like lentils, peas, beans, and nuts and stuff like that. So I'm not going to say you shouldn't eat poultry, but when you do eat it, I recommend eating it from a good source, because something that can really make the difference there is where you get it and what the quality is. And that's because a lot of the chicken farms are disgusting, and disease ridden, because these chickens are in cages piled on top of one another and they're basically shitting on each other. So what they do to counteract the disease is they, give the chickens huge amounts of antibiotics, and they also will, in these farms, be feeding these chickens just disgusting food. The food is disgusting, and it's also getting shit on by the chickens above. So it's important to make sure you get it from a good source. The free-range chicken makes a huge difference on your system because it doesn't have the same toxicity. All right, and if you are eating poultry, I also do not recommend eating it every meal. There's a lot of bodybuilders that will eat chicken every single meal. And, that's when it's going to add up, and there's going to be this cumulative effect on your digestive system. And also, you're only getting like one nutrient profile from that, and you need more variety in your diet. And you can eat a lot more of the other protein sources that I listed because they're lighter and easier to digest. So I would recommend eating more of those than you do of poultry. And also, when it comes to turkey, turkey is better than chicken, all right? And it contains tryptophan, which is good for you, but also can make you tired. So I don't recommend eating that before training, but after. And then when it comes to processed foods, I recommend limiting and minimizing them and completely eliminating the ones that are full of preservatives and other toxins. And then when it comes to bread that is made from refined wheat, this is a very bad carb source. This is like the worst carb source. Wheat is not a natural thing for the human digestive tract to try to digest. That's why they have to put yeast in it, because the yeast are actually eating and digesting the bread in part. All right, but even then, it's hard on your system. Wheat causes inflammation. It's just a really bad carb. And so I recommend going gluten-free, opting for other grains that are not wheat. And also eating more fruit. Fruit is the best carb out there. And then rice. And the darker the rice, the better. And I'm sure you've heard of brown rice, but have you heard of red rice and black rice? Because those are even better. And the darkness comes from them having additional minerals, which are good for your joints. So this is stuff that's really going to come in handy for you as an athlete. Red and black rice are so much more nutrient dense than brown rice. So those types of rice and other superfood grains such as like quinoa and amaranth and such, and then fruit sources are the best carbs that you can get. And then when it comes to corn, corn is basically like an empty carb. It's something that again is not native to the human digestive tract. It's not natural for us to try to digest it. So your digestive tract will actually struggle to digest corn, and you'll see that some of it doesn't really get fully digested. It doesn't cause the same inflammation that wheat causes, but it's not good for you. And it's also something that if you're not eating organic corn, it's full of toxins. It's like literally, inorganic corn is the most toxic food known to man that gets consumed by people. All those farms that make cheap corn are highly genetically modified. They're often run by Monsanto. What they did is they spliced Agent Orange into the corn genes so that insects that touch it will die instantly. So what do you think that it's doing to your living cells in your digestive tract and your flora that you need to digest it, right? It's devastating your digestive tract. It's going to cause a huge amount of digestive fatigue and health problems. So stay away from inorganic corn. If you have to eat corn because you're Latin American and it's an integral part of your diet, you need to eat the organic stuff. But it is really just empty calories. It's not a good carb source. It's mostly sugar. It doesn't really have any nutrients. It's empty calories. You really should just minimize it, okay? And then when it comes to fats, fats can be very fatiguing to your digestive tract as well. They're hard to digest. If you eat them in the right amounts and are eating high quality fats, they can give you energy that you need, but anything beyond that is just taxing your digestive system and taking energy away to try to digest the fatty food. All right, and you want to stay away from the cheap, shitty oils. Soybean oil is really bad for you. Partially hydrogenated oils are really, really bad for you. And the other low-grade oils that you can buy really cheap in these huge gallon jugs, like peanut oil and sunflower oil. You got to stay away from these bad oils, okay? You need good, high-quality oils because those oils are going to be nutrient-rich and, full of like omega-3 fatty acids that are going to be great for your joints, just like fish oil, all right? So you want to stick with high-quality extra virgin olive oil. Don't go with the big corporations. Go with, the small companies. Make sure that it says first cold pressing on it. And coconut oil is very good for you, again, with the omega-3s. It's very high in saturated fat, though, so, don't eat too much of it. Don't make it, the only oil you use. And then avocado oil is a great oil. Again, very high quality fat, as is avocado itself. All right, so if you make these switches in your diet, these healthier, lighter foods are going to be easier for your system to digest. They're going to give you much more nutrients, and thus you're going to have less fatigue and more energy. And speaking of diet, you don't want to overcompensate for fatigue by relying too much upon stimulants such as caffeine, by drinking coffee, energy drinks, stimulant-rich pre-workout, or relying on other drugs for that matter. All right, that's not doing damage control. That's just doing more damage. All right, it's like covering up your injury with a Band-Aid that has been infected with something else. It's like using a dirty Band-Aid that you found on the gym locker room floor or something. It's disgusting. You do not want to be overdosing on caffeine because you're fatigued in order to mask your fatigue. All right, and also you don't want to rely upon processed refined sugar either. All right. Sugar is something that is not as bad for people who exercise. You're going to need more glucose than the average person in order to replenish your glycogen stores, but you don't want to be using processed refined white sugar, okay? That's really bad for you, just like white flour. They have had any nutrients completely taken out of them. What you want to use is raw sugar, okay? It should be dark in color. Again, that is a sign of rich mineral content. Or just use fruit. All right, you can use fruit to sweeten things. Instead of putting sugar in your oatmeal, you could put fruit in your oatmeal. Right? Instead of baking with sugar, you can bake with figs. All right, or some other type of fruit. Depending on what you're making. Be careful of your sugar sources, and your energy should come not from sugar and caffeine, but from rest and healthy, natural food sources. And any supplements that you take should be natural herbal supplements. Okay, and beware of the sketchy ones, because there are sketchy supplements out there. They have been known to not be what they say they are, to just be like sugar pills or sawdust pills. And then there's supplements where they will put just like shady anabolic compounds or illegal anabolic compounds in there. There's athletes that have tested positive for anabolic compounds and been excluded from competitions because they took the wrong supplement. And this shady company was just doing whatever it could to make profits and make people feel like they took something effective. And that's a big problem I have with most pre-workout supplements, is that they will overdose you on caffeine and underdose you on the actual active ingredients that you need for nitrogen oxide boosting and other types of things that you should be getting from your pre-workout. All right, so having a pre-workout with 300 plus milligrams of caffeine and then a low dose of other things is really bad. You don't need that. All right, and I can actually teach you what the right amounts of the different active ingredients should be in a pre-workout and teach you how to make your own. So if that's something that you're interested in, contact me, and that's something I'm going to be teaching in my diet course you can look forward to if you're interested. All right, but basically you want to be eating right. Have a diet rich in fruits and vegetables, especially these ones that they call superfoods, which can often have medicinal benefits. And fruits and vegetables give you tons of energy. I know, because I have sleep problems. I have to take a sleep medicine in order to sleep the right amount, and so I always wake up feeling like shit, having no energy. But having a smoothie for breakfast, it really helps me to wake up. Okay, I do not drink caffeine in the morning. I drink a smoothie, and it's very helpful. And if you need more energy, there's certain natural herbal supplements that can really help you more than things like energy drinks, such as raw cacao, maca, ginseng, ginkgo, green tea extract, nitric oxide boosters, natural herbal testosterone boosters, which actually have been proven not to boost testosterone, but they do boost your energy level and your libido, so it gives you the the feeling that you've boosted testosterone. These are all better alternatives than overdosing on caffeine and sugar, as most people are doing with their morning drinks.